Hi, I am Allie Camilletti, and you are listening to Snack Leadership. I will be talking about everything leadership, broken down into bite-sized pieces. You will hear what different leadership skills look like in organizations and how they can rise teams up or take them down. I help leaders build resilience and improve performance by bringing awareness to opportunity behaviors in my business. Spark your mindset. I provide leadership and sales coaching, as well as team building and guest speaking. My hope is for you to feel inspiration and to create a spark in your mindset. Hi, everyone. Today, we are talking about intention. Intention in leadership is the conscious and deliberate choice to direct one's attention, decisions, and actions towards a desired outcome, guided by purpose, values, and responsibility for impact. Matt Granados, founder of Life Pulse Incorporated, where he equips teams with a proven framework to build sustainable, burnout-free performance. He's helped clients like Google, Twitter, and the Air Force drive measurable growth by combining mindset and structure. Matt is also the author of 2 international bestsellers, being Motivate the Unmotivated, A Proven System for Sustainable Motivation, and Intentional Week. See your week differently. Live your life intentionally. Matt, I am so excited to have this conversation with you today.
Oh, thank you for having me. Super excited to be here. Time to have a snack. I love the name of this. I love the concept of this. So we'll get right into it.
I love it. Thank you. Okay, so what is something you've recently learned about yourself?
One thing I've learned about myself, and it's been taught again and again, the more and more I experience life, is there's a higher likelihood of me being deceived than discerning. Meaning, like, there's a much higher likelihood of me being wrong than right. And when I am willing to humbly examine myself and start conversations in that way, I save myself a lot of trouble. So that's a big thing, is kind of the default is I'm wrong more than I'm right. So I should be aware that I might be wrong before I assume I'm right.
So what do you do to navigate that belief system?
Take a breath, right? It's the fact that we as leaders, as entrepreneurs, as parents, as community members, wherever you are, whatever hat you have on, we assume we need to have the answer right away.
Yes.
Versus being comfortable going, hey, hold on, let me think about that. And some of the people that I admire most are super comfortable with the pause, right? They don't run through the pause. They let the pause happen and they respond afterwards. And that's what I think a lot of us do wrong as leaders, is we feel we need to have every answer. And that's not the key. You need to be able to find an answer to the problem, but you don't need to have every answer. It's usually one step at a time is the best way to act.
I agree with you on so many different levels. And I see this too, of this belief system that you're supposed to have all the answers. And instead, what you're describing to me is also like pausing, but getting curious.
Yeah.
And listening to hear, not to respond.
Yeah. I have a mentor of mine who always taught me it's better to be interested instead of interesting.
Yeah.
Like we as the world think we are to be the interesting one, but the one who actually builds and sustains the relationship and gets the results are the ones who are able to be interested and actually inquire and try to understand and realize you don't need to agree in order to understand.
Yeah.
Like, we've confused those things. I think social media has done that in a terrible way. Like, well, I don't agree with you, so I don't get how you can think that way. And I'm sitting there going like, I can get why you can think that way. That makes a lot of sense in your situation. Yeah, I disagree with you, but I don't have to agree with you in order to understand where you're coming from.
Yeah.
So taking those two away is a big, big part of society today that I think is causing a lot of issues with communication.
Oh, yeah, I know. There are a lot of issues with communication right now. I think about it. Sometimes I'm like, I really should just not text.
Yeah.
And like, I am not good at texting. Just pick up the phone, have the conversation.
Yeah.
It's faster, it's clearer.
Yeah. And that's the thing. And honestly, I've started using voice memos a lot more.
Yeah.
Because it gives the tonality that you're looking for, right? You're using the 7% of communication, which is the actual words, and you're missing out on the other 93%, which is the nonverbal cues, the tonality, the way your voice is sounding, that you're using the worst form of communication for the most amount of your communication. The majority of our communication is coming through written word, which is not how we function best, not how we receive conversation, or not. One of the things I love is we teach in our book, because again, another mentor taught this to me was, you could take a sentence with 6 words or more, and if you just emphasize every word, you're saying 6 different sentences. Same words, same written out, but when you use the emphasis per word, it changes the entire dynamic of the sentence. So if you're listening to this, try it. Write out a 6 word sentence, change the emphasis. If it says, I didn't ask you to do that, I don't know how many words that was, and I say, I didn't ask you to do that, that means someone did, but it wasn't me. I didn't ask you to do that means I didn't, but I did. I didn't ask you. I might have told you. I'm like, so you realize the fact that communication is so hard, but yet we bring it back to the most simple basis of it, and we wonder why it gets lost in communication, because you're only using literally 7% of the ability to communicate. So we go for days on that one, because that's something I
I
work
think
with
it's
clients all the
great.
time.
Great exercise. So good. So, bringing it back to intention,
Yeah.
like, what was the catalyst for you to dig into this leadership skill of intention?
It came with the fact that people always, I feel, have good intentions. Like, but it goes away. And why does it go away? It goes away with time. So, like, the longer it is from the day you say you're going to do something to the day you do it, the lower likelihood it is for you to actually do it. Period. So, I was so interested in why was that, and how could we re-engage that intention?
Yeah.
Like, there's times where I tell my wife I'm going to do something, I genuinely mean I'm going to do it. I have all the intention in the world to get it done. And then 3 days later, when she's like, "Did you put that thing up yet?" And I'm like, "Oh, why are you all over me?" And it's like, she's not all over me. She's just, I said I was going to do it and I didn't do it. So it's a concept of intention. So what I realized was that is what I feel is lost in society is intention. So that's why one of our tagline is bringing intentionality back to life. Is how do we bring it back, reintroduce it to life, but also like revive it, like bring it back to life. And that's what we've been focusing on. So it came from the fact that people actually, I think, have good intentions. They just have terrible follow through. So, how can I help these people with a good intention find a structure that re-engages that intention? And that's what we call perpetual development, is when we are able to combine intention and structure, and we put our life pulse system, whether it's with an executive team, whether it's with an individual or an entire company. Our entire goal is to introduce those people to this perpetual development cycle so they can re-engage that intention every day, not just on that quarterly on offsite or the motivational speaker they heard talk, but actually implement it in everything they do.
I know for me, what lack of intention has as an outcome when I am communicating with somebody. What is the science behind it? What do you see that gets lost when people don't have that follow through? That intention doesn't go to the end.
It shows the lack of care.
Yeah.
Like the way I relate it to is if you're in a relationship in grade school, we'll just say to not offend anyone who's older still in a relationship like this, which happens all the time. And the
Right.
person on the other side is showing you signs that they don't like you.
Yeah.
And you say to your friends, I don't get it. Why doesn't she like me? She says she likes me, but then she doesn't act like well, because she doesn't like you. Like, I care about my family. Do you? I don't know if you do, because the fruit of what you're doing is not showing that you actually care. Just because, as if I'm talking to a guy who's like, oh, and I'm going to work and I'm providing for my family, or a wife who's working, I'm providing for my family, and then I come home and this and another. It's like, are you just doing it for yourself and you're masking it as if you care? And I tell people, I can tell what you care about based on what you do. You show me where you put your time, I'll show you where you care. So if you don't follow through, it doesn't mean you intended to be dishonest, but it does mean you do not care the way you say you do. Because you know what I don't forget? I don't forget to put my pants on before I go outside, right? Like, I am intentional about that. I don't forget to take my kids when they're babies out of their crib, and I don't forget to change them. Like, I do a lot of things, but for some reason, these things that I say I'm going to do and I don't follow through with it, it's a lack of care. Now, let me make sure I say this so no one hates me on this, right? Because now you're sitting there, people are like, wait a minute, hold on, time out. There's a lot going on in the world. The
Yeah.
lack of care doesn't come from a lack of caring about the person. The lack of care tends to come from a lack of margin to be able to actually care. You're too busy. You say yes to too many things. You're afraid to say no. You've said yes 1,000 times. Great example was this first week. Almost every single client I have, and I don't know when this is going to get let out, but it's being recorded the second week of January. The first week of January, every person's all over the place because we all said yes to things 3 months ago that just happened to fall on this first week because everyone knew we'd have to get back into it. So we over maximize ourselves. We fill our plate up and then we sit there and go, yeah, honestly, I'm going to help you with that with all the intention in the world to do it, but no structure to go, can I even help you with that? Where in my day can I help you with that? And that's what we teach people how to do. Have an idea, bring intentionality to the beginning of your week, to the beginning of your day, so that when you get asked to do something, you are aware of what's going on and you can say yes or no with confidence because you're not just saying, yeah, sure, we can meet when? Sometime next week? Yeah, absolutely. That's how the majority of us live our life, and that is a disaster.
What are some great tools when
Yep.
leaders struggle in this area that you recommend to help them shift into this more focused intention?
Yeah, so our LP planner, obviously very biased, self-promoting.
LP. What's LP stand for?
LP stands for Life Pulse. Life Pulse is our company. The LP
Yes.
planner is the backbone foundational system. It's 9 questions to ask yourself.
Okay.
It uses a style of planning that we've created called reverse planning, where you
Ooh.
list what you want, then you list what you've committed to do, what you need to do, and then you only do what is actually important.
Yeah.
So what you want, what you need, what's important. And it allows you to find time for the things you want to find time for without dropping the ball on the things you can't drop the ball on. What tends to happen is even if you don't use our planner, if you were to go through and just plan your week out on either Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, right? A lot of people don't like to do it on Sunday because they want to relax the whole weekend. I don't care when, but before the week starts, the key to it is you have to plan before it happens. So you plan for the week. We do 7-day planning, specifically because a day's too short, a month's too long. A week is perfect. The week allows you to do what we call linear planning. So if something happens today, which happens to be a Tuesday, and I'm supposed to do it, but it gets thrown off for whatever reason, I can do it on Wednesday, and I have a close enough deadline where I actually feel a little bit of pressure where we as humans function well with deadlines. So 7-day planning would be the first thing. The other thing I would say is have a way to do what we call PTT. That is plan tomorrow today. Before you go to bed at night, plan your next day. This will trigger multiple different responses in your head. This will allow you to sleep better. This will allow you to know you're not going to forget what you're doing tomorrow. PTT would be on a daily basis. Now, on a monthly basis, right? Because we do what we call the LP structure of success. I'm going to give them the whole breakdown if that's okay.
Yeah.
Daily action, we just talked about that. Weekly planning. Monthly review. On a monthly basis, you want to sit down. If you're married, my wife and I, we go out on what we call a life date. If you're working with close peers, once a month, you're going to sit down with the people who are directly reporting to you, and you just got to review what's happening. I call it R&R, not rest and relaxation, but review and refine. What's working? What do we got to tweak? On a quarterly basis, you reset. All your goals should be no more than 90 days as you act on them. They could be 15 years out, they could be 20 years out, they could be a year, but your action steps and the goals you're focusing on currently, 90 days. We call that a 90-day goal rush. That's how we teach it. And then you have your annual retreat. Once a year, you go and you just mentally review what's worked, understand what you need to change, and set the course for the next year. So that's the process
Amazing.
that we focus on. And where this all came from is every client we work with, we customize a solution for what they're dealing with. Right? Every person is different. And this is why we don't come in, like with you having your industry knowledge, I don't have your industry knowledge. So I don't come in and say, here's how you do your industry. I come in and go, what is it you need to do? Our system, every single one of LP tools, at this point, we have over 100 of them that we offer to our clients. Every single one teaches how to do what you already know you need to do. Like I know what I need to do to lose weight. I just need something to show me how to do it. I know I shouldn't eat that, but I keep eating it. And you know what you should do with your employees, but how in the world do I lead them this way? I don't have the resources. My company won't support me. That's different in culture, whatever it might be. We come in, we customize it, create a solution. And when we create one for you, we hold on to it for us so we can share it with others.
So good. So good. And thank you for validating my what I wonder sometimes is OCD on how I do my planning
Yeah.
because I love it. It just sparks something in me of being able to I do it weekly, I do it monthly, I do it quarterly, I do it the night before. What am I walking into the next day?
Yeah.
Down to even my meal plans.
Mhm.
And it works for me. When
Yeah.
I'm on vacation, do I do that? No. I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't have to do any of it. I'm not meal planning. I'm not scheduling everything that I'm doing. This is my time to relax and be in it.
Mhm.
But in order to accomplish what I want to be able to accomplish and be intentional.
Yeah. And I think even with that, when you're on vacation, that is an intentional act. So you are planning, your plan is to do nothing. Like that's
Yeah.
where we run into this issue. Like the concept of patience that leaders don't hold on to. Like patience is not a passive word. It is an intentional act to wait. That's really hard. That's actually much harder for me than going. I'd
Yeah.
much rather go. I don't want to wait. I'm impulsive. I want to go, go, go. When it comes to planning, to your point though, and if you're sitting there going, man, but I have that OCD concept where people say I plan too much. There is no such thing as planning too much. What there is when you become a slave to the plan. And I tell
Mm,
everyone, you're the
yeah.
creator, not the creation,
Yeah.
which means you need to be willing to adapt the plan based on what's happening.
Yep.
What bothers me and what hurts a lot of leaders is when they set a plan and there is no room for movement.
Yep.
In today's world, 2026, if adaptation is not part of your plan, you will lose. Things move too fast. Things change. Markets flip. New technology comes out that we have to be okay setting our plan and realizing that the plan itself means nothing, but planning means everything. The
I
act
like
of
that. I like that. And I think that's really important. It's a very important point. And often when I have people like have to reschedule or something and they're like, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm like, you're fine. Like, I always see it as a gift of time.
planning. Amen.
When you shift to another day, that allows me a pocket of time that now I get to choose
Yeah.
what I want to do with, right? Am I
Mhm.
going to go for a walk? Am I going to catch up with a friend? Or am I going to work on a project that needs extra attention that I haven't felt like I'm giving enough to?
Yeah.
Like, it's a gift.
Very much so. I love it. Yeah, and that's the part. That's the part that I think people fall trapped to, is they
Yeah.
feel like, oh, it's so disrespectful. You skipped
Yeah.
the meeting with me. No, I get that, and there's the element of, hey, I want you to respect the meetings, the commitments you have. We teach all of our clients when you commit to something, you do it, right? However, if it makes sense not to do it, you need to be comfortable not doing it, right? I
Yeah.
talked about discerning versus deceived. I think one of the biggest things is until to be able to fully discern what's going on, you have to be fully willing to do either side of it.
Yeah.
So, too many times we try to discern with bias, and that's dangerous. That's what leads us towards self fulfilling prophecies that we don't necessarily we recognize as true to ourselves, but they aren't actually true. So we have to be
Mhm.
super, super careful with that. And that's why intentionality is the basis of everything. We tell people that intentionality is the catalyst to fulfillment. I don't know anyone who's accidentally become fulfilled ever. It takes intentionality. You can accidentally become lucky, you can accidentally become rich, but not fulfilled. That takes a level of intention that we try to teach every client.
It's really, really good. So let's shift a little bit. Talk to me about a mentor that you feel really helped you deep dive into intentionality.
Oh man, obviously my faith's a big part of my life, right? So I got Christ and that whole supernatural level of mentorship.
Hmm.
But from a more worldly perspective, here what I would say, um, one there's many people. I mean, I have mentor after mentor after mentor. I kind of like to collect mentors,
Yeah.
right? And I tell people all the time, like I have so many mentors. I'm like, a lot of them don't even know they're mentors. Like it's
Yeah.
not like a Valentine's where I'm sitting here going like, will you be my Valentine? Will you be my mentor? I don't need that. I'm going to learn from you because you have something very valuable to learn from.
Yeah.
But there was a youth program I went to called Eagle U, and that was where it kind of I got introduced to all this concept. And a mentor of mine, his name's Steve Anderson. He created it basically by accident, right? He was doing it for adults, and someone set him up to an extent where he showed up, and there was a bunch of what about they do it for kids? And he's like, if you get them, I'll do it. But he didn't think anyone would do it. And then he showed up and there was 25 so kids that he taught the same stuff to. And I happened to be able to come through as one of those 15-year-old kids. So Steve and I, since I was 15, he opened my eyes to a lot of this stuff. And then since then has been, okay, how do we take the essence of truth? And what came of it, when I would meet a mentor, I'm not the most intelligent person, right? And when I learn something, the way I have to learn it is I have to take it, I have to put it into a system or a solution so that my brain can understand it, which means usually simplify it. And then I can duplicate it by using the system over and over and over again. What I didn't realize was when you create a system that you could duplicate over and over and over and over again, you can also offer it to person and person and person and person. And that's how this entire business started. I call it LIM, learning with implementation in mind. When I hear a story, yes, I hear what the person's saying, but I sit there and go, what does that mean for me? How would I use that in my life, right? And that was probably the best lesson I've learned, was how to learn with implementation in mind, that I don't just listen to a good story about what they did. I listen to a good story for gems on what can I take from that wisdom, knowledge, and honestly take the knowledge and convert it into wisdom by applying it properly.
Very
So
cool.
mentorship, I mean, like I said, Steve was probably the first one at the youngest age. I've had business partners that were mentors. Now my mentors, are all over the place. I mean, it's and depending on what I'm trying to do, I have the same process. I find someone who has done what I've done. I go ask them what they will teach me, and then what I do, which just naturally is a thing that I didn't realize is so natural, is when I meet someone and they give guidance and the fruit shows that they're worth listening to, right? Not just anybody, but it makes sense. I try to prove them right versus trying to prove them wrong. And
Yeah,
what I
that's a good
found is
skill.
there's a higher likelihood of success when
Hmm.
you try to prove something right becoming right than when you try to prove something wrong and it becoming right. Now, I don't do this blindly, right? I want to understand not just what they say they do, but what's the lifestyle they live. There's certain qualifications. Like, I don't need to go work with somebody and learn from them if they are making billions of dollars but have a miserable life. I'm not interested in that. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Now, if they want to give me ways on how to make money, I'm going to listen to it, but I need to realize the sacrifice they were willing to make, I know I'm not willing to make. So I can't assume I'm going to do what that individual is going to do. So when I'm
Yeah.
seeking people to look up to or mentors or I'm connecting clients with other people, I always sit there. It's not surface level, it's the fruit, it's the byproduct of what they're doing. What happens when they walk in a room with their team? What happens when they meet someone who's not a client of theirs? What happens when they come off stage? If I see that side of you, you're going to be someone who I'm going to value greatly and I'm going to refer out to as many people as possible. But the fruit is what matters, not what the tree looks like.
Yeah. And you're leading right into a quote.
Yeah.
What is a quote that you really feel embodies the leadership skill of intention?
The quote is, change is inevitable, growth is intentional.
Okay.
And that's the reality, that just because the market rises and you rise with it doesn't mean you did anything. But if you intentionally made a choice and you can tie it back to an intentional action you took to experience that growth, then you can sit there and celebrate with your team for what you did. But when you sit there and you're selling something people need and you think you're really good at it because you're just getting it in front of them properly, that is not necessarily growth. That's just change happening and you're on the positive side of it. Because that
Yeah.
means there's also someone on the negative side of it. And I want to live life more with intention, which leads to growth, than that inevitable change that comes.
Perfect. Before we wrap up with what's your favorite snack, is there anything else you want the listeners to hear?
No, what I'd say is any of your listeners, again, just I love what you're doing. If they go to lifepulseinc.com/SL, we'll just do, so that'll just be the initials of the podcast. We will put all the resources we've talked about, different tools on there, and they can access it completely for free. They just pop their email in and we'll send it over to them. But we just love offering that to people when we're working on events and shows and conversations like this. So we'll get that set up for you. Like I said, before the recording goes, and we'll go from there. So we could talk about snacks, which is the reason I came on.
What's your favorite snack?
So I find if I had to pick a snack where it's like, what do I go with? It's a form of a meat stick or some type of high protein kind of survivor. But that's not like a fun answer or a good answer. That's just the real answer. Does that make sense? But I
Yeah.
would say my favorite snack, if we're just talking in terms of snacks, I have a strange love for donuts. So much so that our foundation, Take Part, which helps raise money for rare pediatric conditions, every single year we do what's called a donut run. And where this idea came from was my sister and I, we were at the beach on a family trip and we went for a run. And I was like, it'd be funny. We both like donuts. I was like, what if we ran for a mile and then got a donut? And we were kind of joking. I was like, but that's kind of weird. But unless you do a lot, it sounds a little weird. I was like, but a baker's dozen's 13 and a half marathon's 13.1. I said, what if we do a baker's dozen half marathon where we go 13 miles and eat a donut in between each mile? And we started doing that, and it got some some traction online. And now we every year we do a huge event called the Donut Run that raises money for Take Part, which is the foundation. So donuts would be the go-to answer for overall snack. Can I eat something with no consequence? Just enjoy. It would be a big sloppy donut.
I love it. So great. Matt, you're a wealth of information. I appreciate you. Thank you so much for your time today.
Well, thank you for having me.
Thank you for tuning in to Snack Leadership. I hope you felt inspiration, motivation, and felt your mindset spark. Snack Leadership is recorded and produced by myself, Ali Camilletti, and music by Shireen Amini.